Oh, and there it goes. Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Day After Podcast.
What's up, guys? It's the day after.
Yeah, that's right. We had to take an extra break here. Pretty busy during all this quarantine stuff. Um,
Writing some things,
yeah,
watching some things,
yeah.
and
So sorry you're getting your content, a day later, but hopefully you won't sue us or whatever.
it makes you appreciate us a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Suddenly you didn't see our content and were like, oh no.
Hearts beat.
Yeah.
Like, oh, all
Uh,
right. So this episode was named Friendly Fire.
mhm. Yes,
Now,
and do you know why it was named that?
mostly because, well, one, because the character said it.
Of
And
course.
this is the point of the game where, like everyone is thinking about turning on everyone. Everyone is just like, all right, this is where people are really trying to turn on people to further their game, even if they were like best buds or in a alliance, so
Mhm.
called.
Yeah. I thought for sure this was Jeremy's episode to go home or
I
to
mean,
enter Extinction.
it, when he didn't win, it very much looked like it.
Yeah. Oh,
But
I thought he was going home, honestly, the entire time. Like I thought when he didn't flip the coin, I literally was like, okay, he's going home. Like this, he's going to be the guy who goes home with an idol in his pocket that Michelle gave him.
that would have, well, about that tribal too. It's like with the uncertainty and everything going on, I'm surprised, like Sarah didn't accept the idol. I'm
Mhm.
surprised.
I'm
Well,
glad she didn't, because I want Tony to play it when he doesn't win immunity because
yeah.
he's going to get targeted the second he's free.
Oh yeah. Second, he's too dangerous in this game
Yeah.
to.
But also, if you actually think about it, his closest allies are Sarah, Jeremy, and Ben. That's a four out of the seven. So
Yeah.
in a sense, if he just kept that alliance and took out Denise, Michelle, and Nick, I mean,
Well, it depends on who comes back from Edge, but I mean, it does. Things are looking good for him, but he no one there is ignorant of the fact that he is running the game. It is clear to literally everyone. Which there just comes a time where you're like, we got to get rid of
yeah,
him.
yeah.
It's either
I actually think that Jeremy and Ben both think they beat Tony at the end. I think that they both think that their story is better than Tony's, like as a person. And because of that, they think that the jury will want to reward them, which isn't true. Like, but in their minds, that's what they think. And then Sarah, I think, wants to get to the end with Tony. I think she wants to be able to say we got to the end together. I think that's what she wants. So
it would
it,
be all right. So it would be nice in the sense of like for Sarah, it would be nice for Cops R Us to finally make it to the end. Don't get
yeah,
me wrong.
yeah,
But and then there is this whole thing. I think Mike Skupin put it best in season 25, where sometimes you just feel like you can win because you know all the experiences you've gone through. You know what you've done to get to the end of the game, and you know but that's true about everyone. And then like the jury sees all, the jury hears all. You know, they have nothing to do but walk around and do like hikes all day, and then just talk about everyone's still in the game,
hmm
and whatever. And someone gets
yeah,
voted off, they fill them in on everything. It's there are no secrets, and I feel like that's one of the biggest things that was very apparent in this episode. If you had everyone knew everyone's advantages going into
hmm
this, everyone was like, there were no secrets to be hidden.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I was just telling you off screen, this was a lot like Ben's season, Heroes, Healers, Hustlers, because in that season they wanted so hard to introduce a lot of secrets. Like you have to keep all these secrets, and no one could keep a freaking secret the entire season. Like they would find out something and be like, "I'm gonna keep this to myself." And then 10 minutes later, be talking to someone about their advantage that they just got.
And even if it hurts them too, like
Yeah.
Jeremy was like, yeah, Michelle gave me her 50-50 idol, and you're telling it to Tony, and I'm like,
Like Tony probably would have played the idol for him, right? Do you
for
think
him,
yeah, I know that he would definitely obviously he would play it for Sarah. Um, but do you think he would play it for Jeremy? Because right now he likes Jeremy in the game because that's one other person that might be on the same caliber of threat level for him, and he
yeah,
likes that right now.
I mean he does. I feel it's a thing of like they needed the numbers because they needed to get rid of, like one of the other girls or Nick and make sure, that alliance was done for because the way things were shaping, it could have been a potential like 4-4 split. So they needed someone to be like, okay, we need to take out Kim or Michelle. And obviously, since Kim was starting to she started to, play the game a little bit, and that's
Yeah.
when Tony was like, "All right, you're done."
Yeah, that's a problem because from episode one we found out that Kim's not allowed to play this game. And that's what happened, and then she tries to play the game and they're like, okay, well, your time here is done.
Oh my god! And then for the whole, it's funny. We literally talked about this last week about the water challenge, and then lo and behold,
It
this
happens.
episode, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And they
I
made
didn't.
it tougher. They made it really tough.
Oh yeah. And not only that, I found it interesting that people actually left the pedestal for something to eat.
My
Uh,
guess is that they were about to fall or drop or something like that, and they just said, okay, you know what, whatever. I want to get something out of this.
I know Nick for sure. I don't know why. Like I know Nick for sure was, and that's why he was making the bargain and everything.
Yeah.
I do feel like there was a bit of. They say it wasn't planned, but chocolate. I mean, cookies and peanut butter specifically.
Yeah.
That
That
seems
that that was harsh for
that
Ben.
was like too on the nose.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, like Ben just looked like devastated.
Yeah, it was. And don't get me wrong, I do enjoy peanut butter, and we have seen the benefits of peanut butter in this game before.
Yeah, it's really helps if you don't get eliminated right away.
It does. That's why I was like baffled that when Kim did it, I was like, Kim, why? Your
Yeah.
biggest threat in the game, you know, well, your biggest threat in the game is Tony, and you you're not on his alliance. Don't don't risk it. You're this close to like making it to like, the finale. Why
Hmm.
would you jeopardize it now?
Yeah. What I really thought was hilarious, another Tony hilarious moment, was that he didn't want to get wet, so he had Denise come over and undo it for him just so he didn't
Yeah.
get wet.
I mean, I was wondering that. It's like I've had this thought before. It would be like, oh, what if someone didn't want the water? Like, would they dodge it in time or something? And that uh, I'm wondering why he didn't want to get wet either, because it's not like it's gonna
You don't
ruin
you don't,
his
you don't
hair.
want to get you don't want to get wet out there. I mean, what isn't it like dyed kind of different colors if I recall? So
Well, I mean,
maybe he didn't want to get any of that on his nice clothes out there, you know? Totally nice clothes. He doesn't want to go to the laundromat on Survivor.
those are those are like battle scars, but for your
Yeah.
clothes. I just also I would imagine it was pretty hot out there. Like it's a tropical island.
Yeah.
You would think they would want a little refreshment every now and
Yeah.
then,
Yeah,
especially.
I would love to just go down and have a thing of water come down on me after winning, like that, because it's like a victory thing, right?
Yeah, like the
It's like the
Gatorade.
football, yeah, where they go over. Same thing.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of which, Tony's third in a row. I
Wow.
wonder if this is going to be a thing where he gets a streak going, and then because I notice this happens in Survivor a lot, or just competitions in general,
Uh-huh.
where it's like, oh, I have done so good, and then it's the one that really matters, and it's kind of like Murphy's Law, where you just don't make it in that one.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm going to be very upset if he's the day 38 boot.
oh, I mean, what
Because
we are on like day 29 now, right?
yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah,
well, night 29, but
yeah,
um, so we're getting there. Next episode is supposedly the last one before the finale.
yeah. And it's a 2-hour episode.
So double elimination.
Yep.
A little, and it's like just gotta say, with the people we have left, besides Nick, but we're always gonna have like a goat. I'm
Mhm.
really digging who is left. Denise is a little bit of an underdog scenario, not really like highlighted as the underdog in a way, but
Mhm.
she has obstacles to
Yeah.
overcome.
You
Um,
know that if she makes it to the end, her biggest thing is going to be I took out Sandra Diaz twice by myself.
yes,
That is going to
yes,
be her like MO. Like she is going to lead with that. She's going to end with that. That's go unless like whoever takes out Tony. I think if someone takes out Tony, they become the new front runner. If we are shown someone has led the charge against Tony, successfully does it, that person is going to win the game.
yeah. Because not only does he have an idol, but I don't think it's too far fetched for Ben to be like, here, you can, or not. I feel Tony could pressure Ben into giving him the idol
Mm-hmm.
because, and we were talking about this as well before we started recording, but I feel that, Ben is very easily intimidated.
Mm-hmm.
Like, intimidated by Boston Rob in the very beginning of this season, and then intimidated by Tony this episode, um, more than once. First, when they were talking about like who's voting for who, and another time when Ben found the idol and Ben tried to hide it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That
which
was
I
so awkward. It was so awkward, right? Because it was like we like I think we even knew Tony was like watching Ben when he was trying to hide it, and then he still went for it, and then Tony was just like, "Come on, Ben, what are you doing? I saw you."
I I feel like it could have been a thing of like muscle memory where it's like, oh, you see it, you have to hide it real quick because that's kind of like the thing that people do, especially if they're in a group, no matter what. It's like hide it and like, look around. Um, so like that's just like I feel like an instinct moment. Also, if you could get away with it with Tony, because
uh,
like I said,
Because
Tony has yeah,
yeah, because Ben isn't trusting Tony because of the last vote. Uh, but now I think Ben is one of those players who likes to have his numbers and stick with those numbers. So I don't think he's going to flip on Tony at this next vote. I think he's going to want to work with Tony, even though that he just betrayed him and everything. He thinks that now this new vote that just voted correctly is the correct numbers. So I think he's going to try for the next vote to keep those numbers and probably target Denise, Nick, or Michelle.
potentially. I can see him doing that. Well, I mean, everyone has a strategy to get to the end. It's all about, do you have the right strategy and are you bringing the right people?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also, it's like we you did say that Ben thinks he could beat Tony at the end. I just don't really see it. I feel like I'm trying to think.
So his whole story is that he's a war vet. You go in and you say you are the war vet that is fighting for your family, that is fighting for your country. You literally say that kind of stuff, and you immediately gain votes. Like especially because it's a little different for his season, but that definitely was a huge factor in what got people to vote for him was his story. So, assuming that that is what he knows and that's how he got to the end was with idols and with his story, you imagine that that's what he's going to try to do again, and he's going to think that that's going to work.
Technically, yes. And I feel like on non-all-star seasons, that helps
Mm-hmm.
because when you're a Survivor contestant the first time, you're an average Joe, no pun intended. But when you come back again for another season, oh, you're an all-star or you're a returning player, and that becomes your like title.
Yeah.
So with that being said, when you come back as a returning player, you're set to a higher standard of like, oh, what you were back there, yeah, that is part of you, but you're more so a returning player than you are who you were when you first came in.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully he keeps that in mind as well. But, there is a simple strategy. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
But on an all-star season of winners, you got to be a bit more adaptable.
Yeah, it's just hard for me to think that he's changed, like, because he's not showing that he's changed his strategy too much. That it seems like he's trying to go for what you're saying for the All-Star. It seems like he thinks he's one of those people that gets to the end, he wins. Which, there every season there are people like that. I think Jeremy's one of those people who can get to the end and win, just by his story. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know.
No, I don't think. Not only that, but like, yeah, Jeremy had that story, and he kept part of that story hidden. When he won Second Chance.
Mm-hmm.
But that aside, if he even if he didn't have a kid on the way, like his gameplay was so great that it's like, he didn't really even need that story.
Yeah, but remember, a lot like every jury member was split between do they want to vote for Jeremy or Spencer, and I just got to say I think that story made people want to vote for Jeremy over Spencer because he swept them. Spencer didn't get any of those votes. And I think just that alone like shows like just if you are able to have a little bit of gameplay with an amazing story, you have one of the best chances of winning.
True. I guess we'll find out who makes it at the end.
Yeah. And like last season, right? Elaine would have won. Janet would have won if they made it to the end. They both had like that ability that if they were sitting at the ends, like they were going to beat Tommy, they were going to beat Dean, they were going to beat pretty much anyone if whoever they were sitting next to.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I guess that is a thing, and it also depends on the jury as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's what people value over. It's like at the end, what as a jury member, what is it that you want to give this man or woman $1 million, or in this case, $2 million? And it's like, do I give the person who, just kind of like floated throughout this game, very likable and could need the money?
Mm-hmm.
Or do I choose someone who has earned their spot to be here, not just like coattailing, not, and doing some very, very risky things, like, or having to accomplish incredible feats, like getting 6 fire tokens when you only have 3 for something that just straight up looked like a sabotage move.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you go for the person where, yeah, I really bonded with them and I would like to, but it's like, I have not experienced the psychology of being a jury member and being like, hey, who do I want to win this game? And technically, like, say that they bested me.
Mhm.
Granted, they're higher up, but
Yeah, because I think it's very different from for us because we only see them an hour a week, whereas they are living with each other. They're socializing 24/7. And so when you have that, like real relationships are bonded. You really get to know these people as people, not players as well.
yeah,
And so just that alone, like if you become really close to someone and you want to be with hanging out with them after the game, maybe even if they voted you out, like that is going to impact your votes, regardless of what they've been doing otherwise.
fair enough. I mean, yeah, I mean, I need to look at that paper that Cochrane wrote about
Mhm.
the like jury system.
Yeah,
See how it dives into like the
yeah,
psychology of
yeah.
all of that.
Well, what you got to do is every time you vote someone out, you got to think, what are the odds that they're going to vote for me? Like, and then when you're probably down to like the final seven or so, look back at all the jury members, see who has good connections to who's left, and make sure that they go to the jury as well. If
Yeah,
there's any like big connections to the jury.
and I mean, I feel like this season, well, especially like early out, past relationships definitely impacted your gameplay,
Hmm.
and so who knows? That could be a big thing that impacts who actually wins the 2 million.
Yeah,
Not just like this season, but like how you've interacted with certain people in past seasons or at poker games, even though no
yeah.
one's there anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know that this is like a Hail Mary of what could happen, but if Parvati comes back in the game and makes it to the final three, she wins because she's bonded with everyone there on Edge of Extinction. Like even if she doesn't bond with the rest of the people to go there, the rest of the people that are there right now are going to vote for her
That
because she
help.
just has such a great relationship with everyone out there.
I mean, yeah, like if we talk about, like who's been given fire tokens and everything like that before, like she got voted off, everyone was really giving her the tokens
Mm,
that knew her.
yeah,
Now that's kind of shifted to Michelle. Like she's been getting a lot of token love these days, but like she was someone where uh, hell, she and Natalie kind of have like a bond now. Her
mm,
and Tyson finished together in this challenge,
yeah,
uh, which
yeah.
there was something interesting, and I like rewind back a little to figure out. I think that the Edge of Extinction challenge and the immunity challenge happen on the same day.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, because that little thing of like that was us today when I was like everyone running around doing everything, and then someone on the jury was like, "That was us today." I'm like, "Oh
Yeah,
shit!" Um,
yeah,
it's crazy to think about.
hmm.
Um,
uh,
because obviously timeline wise, it was
yeah,
before.
yeah. Well, this also interesting because Sophie's vote out was the day before, and then the next day was Kim's vote off, which is weird because usually there's like an extra day in there somewhere to like get your plan together, but it just seemed like it just happened again, and everyone had to kind of go into full gear.
Mm, I think because if we're talking like time management wise, like I said, they have two more eliminations, so that's 2 days that are dedicated to challenges. So let's and then they are bringing someone back.
Yeah,
That's going to be like another day. So like
yeah.
three days, and then they have to knock out three more people.
So
Blah,
that's
blah.
six.
And then, obviously they have their final tribal, which is day 39. So like we have like 2 to 3 more days of like like where they have like wiggle room,
Hmm.
basically. So
Yeah,
they can't really space it out too much
yeah.
anymore.
So do you think that they should have maybe moved some things back uh earlier in the season? Because there was a lot of 3-day breaks in there. Maybe they should have put a few 2-day breaks in there instead.
Honest, for me, it doesn't matter as much because like an episode is an episode.
Hmm. I'm just speaking specifically like if I was out there, I would not want to do back-to-back tribals because that is less time for you to create your plan to get with your people and execute it. You're looking at a lot
Feel
more of just like, oh shit, I have to do it now.
I feel it's more important early game, like, when, like the game officially starts and early merge, not so much late merge, because that's when everything kind of speeds up and that's when you kind of know everyone already. Um, and, like, since there's less people to talk to, specifically speaking, you would cover more ground within an hour than you would if you were with you would cover more ground if there was like six other peoples to talk to, as opposed to 12 other people to talk to, like, and,
Mhm.
gain relationships and talk. So I feel like it makes sense why it's not as spread out near the end, is because there's not as
Mm.
much maneuvering that has to be done.
Yeah, well, usually it's like 35, 36, 37, and 38 are all tribal councils. But until that point, it's usually 3 days or 2 days separating everything. So it's just weird for me to see that happening already, whereas usually it's not like that.
I feel it's mostly because too, because this season we technically have 22 contestants if we're counting the people coming back as an individual on
Uh-huh.
itself.
Yeah.
So, that's like 19 people or 19 eliminations that we have to take into account.
Mhm.
So that, and then spacing everything out with final tribal, that's like 20 days where you're at a tribal council, or 20 nights. So,
Mhm.
like, technically, literally at the halfway point. Like, so half the time you're going to be out there going to tribal, half the time, like, you'll have a break day. So, and that's not even including those 20 nights, not including
Mhm.
the 2 times someone will be coming back into the game. So 22 um, challenges.
Mhm. My guess of what another theory about all this is that usually, even if we don't see it, they like to have a reward challenge, even if we don't see it. And the fact that they had temptations was their way of being like, this is still a reward challenge, but it's also for immunity.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and I know we touched on it a little bit. Let me try and fix this. I don't. Are you guys hearing the like buzzing that
Uh,
keeps going?
I am.
You are. If
Yeah.
you are, then let me see if I can change that real quick.
Yeah, we're doing some technical stuff on the fly.
Exactly. You never know. Anything can happen when you're recording live. Um, I just saw a funny video about people that ruin their careers doing
Good job.
uh, anywho, but fuck, what were we talking about? We were talking about, I know, Ezra's
The
Extinction,
the the
how many
reward
days to do
challenge. Well, I
reward
was talking.
challenge.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's one thing. And they played to it last time in season 39 with the temptation of like, oh, back out of the challenge to have breakfast food or be in the challenge and possibly win immunity.
Mhm.
Um, you know, and it is a thing of like, yeah, there are more, like, there's less people to feed, but that's also because, but there's also less rice. There's also less, like, some of the people that may have been a stronger gatherers or fishers
Mhm.
might not be in the game anymore. So, like, and especially like when you're near the end of something really, really big, sometimes you just want that, like, cheeseburger. You just want, something like
Mhm.
you've been looking forward, even
Yeah.
if you're enjoying it. And but if you're toughing it out and it's like, oh man, I haven't had, like, like a cookie in forever, and then
Mhm.
like hear that there's potential opportunity, like the little survivor devil on your shoulder is like, just take the damn cookie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this Kim Spradlin stepping down is probably one of those just like, why is she doing this moves? Like there's no like it's almost like the Jeff Varner stepping down for peanut butter. It's just like that, and then getting voted off. It's like it didn't need to happen, but it happened, and now you have to deal with the fact that you kind of just threw away $2 million.
Potential. I mean,
I don't think she's coming back in the
just
game. I really don't.
even
I
if she
don't
did,
think.
I highly doubt it. I mean,
If she comes
if we're
back in,
talking,
she gets voted out right away. I don't. I just I can't see this group of people wanting to work with her still.
it's also a thing of like if we're talking about so talk about what happened on Edge of Extinction. Like 6 people got more fire tokens. Natalie and Parvati, if they're splitting, let's say they did the like 50-50 splits on the 6 fire tokens, like Parvati now has 5, depending on how many fire tokens she spent for, like the peanut butter for everyone that one time.
Mm-hmm.
Natalie has 5 plus the idol that I'm assuming that she still has from back when she
Yeah.
spent it the first time. And then we look at everyone else that's on there. Yule got some. Tyson, has 2. Boston Rob still has, that idol. It's coming down to like, who has fire tokens to get back in the game because even if you have, let's say you do what Natalie and Boston Rob did the first time around, where you buy 1 advantage and then you buy yourself an idol if you get back in the game. That's still a thing of like you need to make sure you get back in the game, and since it's the last time, everyone's going to be spending their fire tokens. We have, and I mean, it's hard to tell what they're going to do next episode, other than it's going to be 2 episodes in one. 2 people are going to get knocked off, and whether or not they're going to go back to Edge twice in one episode, that's another story.
Yeah.
Because if they're going to accumulate fire tokens, how are they going to do it? Is going to be a challenge like this. This is a thing they're going to go hunting for.
My guess is we're not going to see Edge in the first hour, but then they'll have a challenge in the second hour.
It has to be maybe something on Edge. It would be like something where you have to bargain with someone that's currently on it, or maybe the first one. It's more of like what we saw with like the with what we saw with Tony last week.
The extortion.
It'll be a challenge, the extortion, and then something like this one where it was a challenge. By the way, this challenge, ouch! Like with Boston Rob, and I saw his when he fell on his elbow. I thought, oh no, he's not getting medevaced.
Yeah, I thought he was going to get medevac for a second.
Because when he said he was done, I was uh-oh. Because that's something you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
Especially
now, do you think that he would have been in the top 6 if that didn't happen? Or do you think that he's playing that off as like that's the reason that he didn't make top 6? Not that he couldn't have been in it, but because his elbow got injured. Because I don't think he was going to be in the top 6. Like I just don't think he was. I don't think that's his challenge. I think his challenge is staying in one place and then kind of brute forcing your way through something. But running is not his strong point.
But it's a pride thing because it's also a thing of pride because that would make sense in some regards. It may have not been his challenge, but he still stuck it through to the end at the same time. So
I'm saying specifically, like, do you think he would have been in the top 6? Because he made it seem like because he got an injury that's what stopped him. Not him. It's this injury that stopped him.
I mean, there was some. If we look at who did, all of them were in pretty good shape. Mm-hmm. With Danielle like close behind. By the way, like I know I know my grandma says that I'm skinny, but like Jesus Christ, she is like skeletal.
Yeah.
Um, in
Uh,
that. Um, which I mean, granted, I believe she was like pretty slender woman before then, but like I feel like her, being on a island where she has to gather her own resources and like wow.
mhm.
But like still in kind of like decent shape. Um, and like she only came in like seventh place.
Mhm.
Yeah, it
Because
was a
it
tough.
will it's because Rob started off strong, but I think he was trying he pushed himself too hard, got tired, and then had to just walk the rest of the way. I think he doesn't have the endurance or stamina anymore to go like all the time. We even saw it sometimes in Redemption Island when he had to do kind of like the long sprints of up and down the stairs and stuff. He collapsed at the end of it. Like he's never been known as the stamina king. He's always
No,
been known as the physical mental guy. Um, and I think that this just wasn't his challenge, but he still wanted to give himself the aura of Boston Rob. So I'm going to present this whole thing as how I'm doing everything. This is a strategic move to slow down here. Oh, but then I got injured, so I'm done with I'm not going to make it to the final six. So,
I guess it might be a thing of me always trying to think the best of everyone
mhm.
and always and everyone trying to give it their all. Um, I
Well,
don't know.
he obviously tried, but I'm not saying is that he just stopped. I'm not saying that he stopped trying. I'm saying that he's using that to cover up the fact that he didn't do as well as he wanted.
Uh, I don't know. I don't feel Rob makes excuses for himself like another.
He's a storyteller. He loves his whole thing is I'm going to make everyone believe in my amazing story that I've created here, and that's his way of his story is oh, if I didn't get this injury, because like the thing is it's on his elbow. Like sure it's going to hurt, but you can still run. You can still run with an elbow injury.
I mean, yes, but at the same time, as someone who runs like daily, you know, and it's simple. You move your arms when you walk. Um, and so like it does kind of like agitate you because I remember one time where I did trip and fall when I was running and I landed on my elbow and it was sprained. It was it's just hard to like, do like exercises like running when you have a something like that
Mhm.
because it's
I
like
I just don't think it was cracked. I think he said it was cracked. I don't think he cracked his elbow because
that could have been a
if he
little
actually
overreaction.
cracked his elbow, like they would have actually brought in medical.
I
Um,
think that was the same thing with the bone, with the bone last season.
yeah, yeah. So I don't really think it was cracked. I think he cut himself a little bit, and but in as I was saying, the big Rob grandiose story that he's churning for all of us says it's cracked. Says that he's done for it because in fact he probably even knows when he says I'm done. He knows that CBS is going to make it seem like he's being medevac right there.
I guess there is a little bit of metagaming in that regard.
I mean, he literally got to see production last season. Like he literally got to see like how they did everything, what was going on. He's been on the show 4 times. He knows how they edit.
I
Um,
mean, yeah,
so I think everything that he was going there was just for the audience, but not actually necessarily what was happening. I think he was giving us his story that he wanted us to hear, not what actually happened.
fair enough.
Mhm.
Fair enough. All right. Let's see who else. What else? I
Um,
think we pretty much covered everything.
yeah. Oh, well, there's the tribal council. Was there anything that happened in there? Because
I
Jeremy
mean, other
obviously didn't
than
play as
Sarah being totally pissed at Rob, I mean, not Rob,
Tony.
Tony, like.
Tony's the new
Like,
Rob father.
there was a moment when he was talking to Ben the way he did,
Yeah,
and it kind of mirrored a little bit of
yeah,
that.
yeah. Ben
Um,
is Tony's Philip Shepard.
I can see that a little. I don't think Ben is that
Yeah,
ridiculous, and I'm saying
yeah.
that out of love. They're like the fun
Yeah.
kind of like
Because Ben is
ridiculous,
ridiculous. Ben
and
is ridiculous.
but there's a Philip. Um, there's like a Philip ridiculous, like his own brand of like
Yeah.
weird, and I'm trying to think of like the positive like thing as well, because like yeah, Philip was kind of a weird guy, but also there was this kind of like mentality about him that made
Mhm.
him stand out in a positive way,
Yeah.
because like he was like a fun kind of, like he had dry humor at times as well with it, like where Ben is more, I feel, a little bit more in your face about it a
Yeah.
little.
Well, he's goofy. I think Ben is just a really
Yeah.
goofy guy. I just think it would be really funny if Tony makes it to the end with Ben as Philip Shepard and Michelle as Nat Tenorelli.
Hmm. I don't.
And it's like they're I think Ben and Michelle are better than those two, but we're dealing with all winners and we're dealing with Tony Vlachos.
Yeah. I feel Michelle is a little bit underrated in the sense of like, say what you want, she may have been on the bottom for a lot of this, but nearly every single time someone goes home, she is like given fire tokens.
Yeah.
Like there has to be like, we're gonna have to like look at the tallies and everything of like how much she has accumulated over time, but like everyone just seems to be giving her like fire tokens.
Yeah.
That's kind of like her thing.
Yeah,
Um,
but she
very like,
I don't think she's used them very well. I like the only thing she's bought was that 50/50 coin, which is like the worst advantage ever. Like it sucks.
yeah, it's.
And she spent 4 tokens on it.
I
So I
wonder if
mean,
it's
I
actually going to be played. Um,
I want them to. I want them to like be like Jeremy, stand right here, or Michelle, stand right here, and they had like this whole big moment where they like flipped the coin, and like we
is
have this.
Jeremy going to give
Oh,
it back?
and then the dramatic music happens as the coin slowly starts to fall down. The we better be ready.
I wonder if we are going to hear that again for the final Edge of Extinction challenge.
Oh, 100%, and it's gonna suck. I really don't like it. I don't like it.
I liked it in the sense where I was extremely caught up in the moment,
Uh-huh.
and like,
It took me out. Like honestly, as a viewer, I got taken out of it. I was just like for me, I was just like, why are they playing this now? Like, why don't you just do the challenge? Because
uh,
it slowed down the challenge for anticipation, but it was just like, no, just what are you doing right now?
I was suckered in. I'm a sucker sometimes,
Yeah, apparently.
but oh yeah, the spy nest,
Ah, yes, the spy nests. We
and I love
finally
how
saw Tony in the air.
exactly. Next thing we need is like the like in the next season he's going to be in, because let's face it,
He's got to be in another season, right?
he has to be.
He's at least going to be in one more Survivor season in his career.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Um, let's see. He's gone in the air. He's gone underground. I want to see something having to do with like the sea.
I was going to
Um,
say that. Yeah, but how would he do that? That is more
so
crazy than anything
only
else.
Tony, only Tony.
What is he going to get like a little straw and just like hang out there and just be
I
sucking
think
through his
it's
straw?
that. Plus, he's gonna have the Tony Shark. He'll have like a.
The
He'll
Tony.
find the shark. You know, because
Uh,
he's shown that he can take care of himself when it comes to sharks.
Uh,
just make a suit out of it. Sorry, PETA, if you're watching.
yeah, he's
And
gonna kill
just
he's gonna kill 10 sharks and skin them and make a suit out of it.
and just be like, this is a spy shark.
Oh my gosh, I want that, but
Sounds like a
honestly, Tony needs an animated show. He needs to have his own animated cartoon.
I can see that. Like some like early 2000s kids show, Spy Shark.
Yeah, because gosh, Tony just like he makes the season, in my opinion. Like if Tony wasn't there, I don't like this season isn't as great as it is.
I gotta agree. Like he's been not only his gameplay, but like just some of the crazy antics he's been up to, making a
Yeah,
ladder, um, just like his running around,
yeah.
what he did last week's episode, turning.
It seemed like he went into the season with an idea for every episode to do something fun. Um,
Got it.
which is great.
And I think it's definitely something of like, and it's definitely earlier on, like, like it relieves him as being as big of a threat
Uh-huh.
because, like, oh, you see like a buffoon
Mhm.
wrestling sharks or like, making a ladder that's not as decently made as,
Yeah,
like a sane person would
yeah,
probably climb. But you see someone doing that, it's like, okay, this guy is a little reckless. He's maybe not as the mastermind he was back in his
mhm.
first season. But,
Yeah,
like he was just waiting, biding his time until like other big players went and it was like, all right, now it's time for Tony to reign
yeah.
supreme.
And his game plan came in fruition. Like sometimes, someone will say at the beginning of the game, like, I'm gonna play like this, and then they don't play like that. He 100% waited for his moments, for everyone's guard to be down, and then started striking. Um, yeah, no, honestly, I think Tony, if he wins the season, he is the greatest player to ever play the game.
That's a very, very accurate statement, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's already a legend,
Oh yeah,
especially
yeah. This season made him a legend. This
that's
season did it.
um and if he wins it, yeah, he definitely belongs on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Definitely higher on a lot of people's lists of like greatest Survivor
Yeah.
players of all time.
Yeah, and he was already number one on mine. And I didn't even see him this season. So imagine he's not getting touched ever.
He's I mean, he's a great player. He, like I said, because I've noticed things too, in my little notes when he was intimidating Ben a little bit. I
Mhm.
did get that hint of like Boston Rob, and then
Mhm.
when he targeted Kim, I got a little hint of Sandra.
Mhm.
It's kind of like all these things coming together.
Yeah.
Um,
I just think he has everything that you need in a survivor player.
I
Um, including entertainment factor, because I do value that as a survivor player. Because you can be good socially, good strategic, good physical, but if you're just like milk toast out there and you're not really giving us anything, I'm not gonna root for you. I'm gonna be like, okay, get out of here already.
fair enough. Um, so does he get MVP again next week?
100%.
I feel he does, yes. And I feel it's only fitting because she dropped out when she did not need to. I
Yes.
have to give it to Kim.
Kim. There's not real. I mean, so I almost feel Michelle potentially for giving Jeremy the 50-50 and then him not playing it, but at the same time,
She didn't
like
need to.
if it worked, it and this is the thing is if Jeremy got the votes and Jeremy played it and it worked, would have been a great move. I would probably give Michelle MVP if all those little boxes got ticked. Unfortunately, none of those little boxes got ticked. But I do want to give her at least like a little bit of credit there,
A little nudge.
but it was still like it was still a not a great move just because of what happened.
I mean, I can.
Like, and the thing is now Jeremy has to give the idol back or he keeps it, and Michelle just got screwed out of an idol.
I don't think. I don't think Jeremy would keep the idol. I just
You don't
don't
think?
see it in his character.
Maybe. I could see him being like, "Hey, I'm gonna play it next time."
May I feel like not. I see him keeping it if Michelle was okay with it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I was really weird that he didn't play it because it's not his idol. It's not like he found it. Like Michelle gave it to him as being like, "Hey, play this." So like, I would have played it just to get rid of it.
I mean, there is a merit to doing that. Get taking the target off your
Yeah,
back by, throwing it away or not
yeah,
throwing it away,
yeah,
using it.
and it's getting rid of Michelle because like I don't think that they're going to be on the same page in the next few votes.
Maybe
Maybe one more vote at most, but I don't think that they're going to be clicking.
I guess it's
So
also a point of whether or not Jeremy, because someone's going to be targeting Rob. I'm not,
Tony,
no, someone's going to be targeting Tony. That idea is present in almost everyone's mind.
mhm,
It's just everyone getting together and being like, all right, his reign it's time for it to end.
mhm,
And I feel like out of everyone there, that's like a big player, I feel it's going to be Jeremy.
mhm,
Um, feel well, I mean, like I said, big player. I feel Denise, yeah, would love to get rid of Tony.
mhm.
Nick, I feel like maybe down the road, if it feels like it's hard to gauge where Nick.
We haven't seen Nick, so we can't really be in
Yeah,
charge of what Nick's thinking. He gets shown pretty much as just being like, "Okay, let's do it," and then
yeah.
that's Nick.
And then with Michelle, it's also a thing like she's on the bottom, but she's like she may be on the bottom half, but she's also like, I feel very vocal with, the people on top. Um, like, oh, I'm still like loyal to you. I can be your 5 and your 4, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah,
But it just
yeah,
comes to a time where it's like, all right, when do we take out
mhm.
Tony?
Yes.
Because they're running out of time to do it.
Yeah, because the thing is, I think Tony's going to play his idol at the next tribal council that doesn't win immunity. So,
Yeah,
let's just assume he doesn't win immunity next week. He is going to be in the final six, which means, uh, so then he'll be in the next hour. So they need to take him out at that final six before the, uh, comeback challenge, because
do
you
you think
just,
we're going to see, especially since it is near the end, do you think there is going to be kind of like an offering where someone with bio tokens can buy a nullifier?
there's got to be, right? They have to be implementing an idle nullifier in this game. Like they spent 2 seasons being like, and it worked. It was 2 seasons where it was like a big move each time. So you got to imagine that they're going to do it.
Yeah,
I hate the fact that they're introducing it near the end when someone's going to play it. Um, but because I think what they should do is implement it at the merge, and then you
yeah,
don't know when, you don't know who's going to get it. And like
exactly.
that's what they kind of did with David versus Goliath, and I think that was the best use of it.
Remind me what happened on with the nullifier on David versus Goliath.
So Carl got it when he went to exile during like the tribe swap. He didn't get selected, so he went over there, finds the idol nullifier, comes back, and then first off, there's that whole John Hennigan blind side where the minority split the votes on him, getting him out. And then the next week, they managed to get enough votes to target Dan, but Dan had an idol, so Dan plays the idol. Carl plays the idol nullifier on Dan, negating it, and it was just like chaos. That was In fact, there was also like there was a steal vote I think that someone had that made it so that the minority had the votes. It was like just this crazy. Everyone had what they needed to pull it off.
Hmm. Who knows? I feel especially with how gameplay is right now and how like the game, since we have so many good players near the end, something like a nullifier, could really shake up the game. Whether it
Mhm.
falls into, let's say it doesn't fall into anyone that really has. Let's say it falls into Sarah's hands
I was
or
I
Michelle's hands.
I think it's going to fall into Sarah, and I think that she's going to debate on if she's going to use it to get Tony out. And depending on what, and if she does, uh then I think she might win the game. But if she doesn't, I think that she's going to be with Tony the entire time. She's never going to
Whoever
betray him.
whoever dethrones Tony gets the strongest resume.
Oh yeah, 100%. He is the guy. He's the winner pick right now. In fact, right now, in the predictions, everyone thinks that Tony is going to win this game, which is, I just want to say, we are living in a timeline where that might be possible, where Tony might be a two-time winner.
I like wow. It's we'll find out 2 weeks from now.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, it, like we said, Tony had just he brought it this season because he knew he kind of like
yeah,
he knew coming into this one he needed to redeem himself from game changers, and two, um, that if he didn't, he might not come back for a fourth season. And
mhm,
also, the title of winning, like a all winner season, like you had to come in bringing your A game. And
yeah,
unfortunately, not everyone was able to bring their A game. But
yeah,
I mean, that's true about any tournament you go
yeah.
into.
Yeah, well, I mean, just in general, there's going to be a pre-merge section. You got to say that they didn't really bring their A game.
Well, I mean, there's always a thing of like, yeah, there are some people that went home early, but it's sometimes things that are out of their control.
Hmm.
Like, like if we're talking, I'm bad with names. Like last episode or last season with someone who was like my number two pick to win it all went
Hmm.
home like within the first four episodes.
Yeah, was that Molly? I think you.
Molly, yes.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh, like I think she's going to be a sleeper threat. And then she started to get momentum early on, but then they were like, oh, we need to get rid of her now.
yeah, yeah. I should say right now there's 7 people left. I have 5 of those people. You have 2 of those people.
And is
Be-
Denise my other pick?
yeah, Ben and Denise.
It's not
I like yeah, I'm not liking like Denise has the best chance, but that's a Hail Mary of that happening.
well, yes, but
Yeah.
got it.
Or
You
whereas
gotta
I
like
have Tony, Jeremy, Michelle, Nick, and who else is left?
Sarah.
Sarah. Yeah. So Tony, Jeremy, and Sarah are pretty good picks.
Uh, I mean,
uh,
as long as it's not Nick.
yeah, Nick is definitely not winning this game. I don't think Nick or Ben are winning this game. I think those are the two like guaranteed. I would put money on them not winning.
Ben has to do something that
I think Ben wins if he
that
sits with Nick or Michelle. I think he wins. I think he wins that, even though that like I think us as viewers wouldn't want him to win that. I think he would still win that, just because I think people do like him out there, even though that he just has those moments where he goes off on someone. I think that it will be close. I think him and Michelle it will be really close votes.
because
But
Michelle,
yeah.
like the one thing that Michelle really has going for her this season is her likability, kind of like what we expressed earlier on in this in our episode.
Mhm.
Um, the fact where everyone seems to like her enough to give her, fire tokens. Um, everyone seems to like not necessarily, target her, but it's more like she's never like, like deeply considered. In the sense of like, unless she pulls something like she did in BBB 3, BBB 2,
Mhm.
where it's just kind of like, she just really owns the end game, and it also depends on who's left.
Mhm.
It isn't a hard
Yeah.
obstacle for her to overcome.
Because we have seen a decent amount of Michelle, even if like really we didn't need to see her. Because there were definitely votes that we saw her, but she had very little impact on what was actually going on. But Survivor still gave us the time with her, which is what they did with Korong as well. We saw her, but like she didn't need to be seen for some of these votes. Uh, so it's going to be interesting. Would Survivor just do the same edit for a winner again? Like was it, or would they try to do something different?
I don't know. Um, I think if we're talking about who's left in the game, and I know next time we do this show, we're gonna go way deeper into it.
Hmm.
But like it depends on who makes it to the final three and how they get there. And I feel with her, not only is it a thing of like, having solid relationships, but also a thing of like, do I feel like she was a goat this season? I would say no, but I feel like her gameplay needs to be what
I
is has not been up to like,
Yeah.
good standards.
I think in a normal season she's not playing like a goat, but in this season, it's she's one of the closest things to a goat we have. Uh,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that she is a goat. Like I think that there's a chance she still wins this game. And just by that me saying that proves she's not a goat. Because a goat is like they can't win against anyone. Like they're one of the worst two people in the game. Um, and I think that she has a shot,
Yeah.
but she's not controlling anything well enough to really say that she's strategic. Uh, it's really just socially, and it's like I've never been someone that likes players that are just social and nothing else.
I mean, fair enough too. Like
Hmm.
I like the maneuvering of like the gameplay as
Yeah,
well as like I like the people that aren't as flashy in the sense where I kind of like the more I like a mixture of like, like good social skills with like kind of like underlying gameplay a
hmm.
little bit. Like
So you really like Tommy then?
yes.
You really liked him because
Tommy was a good example.
you just explained Tommy.
Tommy was a good example. But
No, I like the people who are very much like they are controlling the game. Like I like it if they're in control and no one else is able to match them. Those are my favorite players. Like Tony.
Tony is the epitome of that right now.
Yeah.
The thing about being the biggest guy in the room, that makes you the biggest target.
Um,
And
so
yes,
do you think if Ben idles out Tony, do you think Ben wins the game?
it depends on like it's kind of a thing of like it's a thing of like, all right, the big villain is gone. Where do we go from there? It's
Yeah.
kind of like
Uh,
if we're thinking of or not even the biggest villain. Let's say we do like Game of Thrones, where Ned Stark was like, you know, the main character of season one, and then he
mhm,
gets killed off, and it's like,
yeah.
fuck, we
Ha,
were following him. Where do we go from there?
mhm.
It's kind of like once if Tony is eliminated, it's like, all right, out of the people who are left, how does the story continue in that regard?
Yeah, exactly. It's because right now, Tony has been given such a huge edit. Like the biggest edit we've had. Like this is the best single performance of any survivor ever. Like, even if he got voted off next, I still think what we've seen is the best single performance of any Survivor player.
I
And
have to agree.
it would be interesting to see what would happen if maybe right before the finale he gets blindsided. Like, imagine if he got voted off sixth and then goes to Edge of Extinction, doesn't win his way back in. Like, what happens then?
Yeah. And then, and we'll talk about it more next episode, but like, how does the person coming back really affect the game? Because even if we follow the mentality of the person that comes back from Edge doesn't, you know, like really get any respect for votes
Mhm,
wise.
mhm.
Um, kind of like how we were
Yeah.
talking about, or how you were saying a few episodes back, but like they're still taking up a spot. It's kind of like the whole thing they were talking about last season, where
Mhm.
yeah, it's cool to like keep this person in mind to be in your final three, but that person is still taking away a spot. Like with Nora,
Yeah.
like yeah, she was a
Mhm.
goat, but she was a goat taking away someone's spot that of someone that deserved to be there.
Yeah, took away Lauren's spot, who I think Lauren won if she made it to the end. I personally think that she could have beat Tommy.
I feel it.
In fact,
Hmm.
that actually, imagine if it was going back to season 39, Lauren, Tommy, and Dean. Dean might win that because I think Lauren and Tommy split votes.
That is a possibility.
There's a chance that happens.
That's why I didn't get treasurer in my school's drama club,
Yeah.
because there was three people running. Two of us had similar like kind of like friend group ish when it came to like the drama club. And so the other person, other than, you know, obviously being a good person,
Mhm.
was able to like get more votes in the sense of
Yeah.
like, oh, so our demographics are similar. So that stuff does happen.
Yeah,
Um,
because Dean still got, what was it, 2 or 3 votes?
I think too.
Okay, maybe he doesn't win. If it was 3, I could potentially see something else happening. Uh okay, but then yeah, then it was probably either Lauren or Tommy, and then Dean becomes a 2 vote finalist or a 0 vote finalist.
Potentially.
Yeah,
Uh,
but let's forget about that season. There's a lot of things that happened in that season we don't want to talk about.
yeah.
Um,
So, all right. I guess another thing, uh, it even seems like Jeff was being sassy with all the whispering going on at Tribal Council.
oh yeah, gosh, it needs to end already, right? This was like
I
this.
feel
This is so annoying.
like even the characters or even the contestants themselves are like a little over it.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like it's something that's still a little bit part of it. Who knows in season 41 if they'll have rules or
Uh,
something? Because I know
yeah.
Jeff, one thing he wants to do is find a way to penalize, or not necessarily penalize teams, but like, you know,
Mhm.
like, oh, you want to vote out someone strong super early, that's going to cost you. Which I don't know how they're going to pull that off, seeing how they love to do tribe swaps.
Mhm.
Because that's
Yeah.
how you stop that.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I'm not sure. Because I just don't want these. Like, I think what they should do is once you get to the merge, uh, you only one tribal council is allowed to have whispers. Um, and once someone does that, that's it for everyone. So that means that if you're the person that thinks that you're in trouble enough to start whispers, that means that you're getting rid of everyone else's opportunities for whispers as well. By making that tribal council be the whisper tribal council.
Could be something like that. It
Because
could also,
I because
I think
they
they would
they they,
still,
they want to keep it. They're not going to act it. So you got to find a way to make it so it's a special thing every season.
yeah, because like when it happened the first time, it blew everyone away. But
Yeah.
now it's something where it's like, oh, I wouldn't say it. Well, I mean, it can be jarring in a little sense where I'm trying to focus on what the person that's actually talking is saying. At the same time, I'm seeing subtitles for other things, and it's like, where do I put my focus?
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't want to read my Survivor. I want to know what was happening. And it makes all the previous gameplay almost irrelevant because now it's like things are happening that we don't really get to see.
Yeah. And then not only that, it is kind of thing of like you just get a little exhausted by it.
Yeah.
And even, Sarah was saying where it's like, you know what, let's fuck it. Just do
Yeah.
that. And like
Yeah.
sometimes in a competition where there's a lot of thinking about it or there's a lot of like talking and everything like that, it's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go with this plan, cross my
Yeah.
fingers because
And Denise snapped at Jeremy for trying to whisper to her some more.
that kind of shocked me a little bit.
Yeah.
Where it's like, whoa.
This is the first time Denise has snapped since Abby Maria.
And
So-
Abby Maria
So that means by that comparison, Jeremy and Abby Maria are the same kind of players. It's confirmed they play the same way.
we have a whole bunch of California between us.
Well, I think that was pretty much everything. We went for an hour and 10 minutes on this episode.
I mean, we're approaching the end. We're excited about, like how this is going to shape up. And, that's we're talking about, we're not only what happens this episode, but we're thinking about how does this really impact, the finale. I mean, and heck, we talked about a half episode, if we're being honest, for like 45 minutes and still had like a decent chunk to talk about. That just proves we're good fans.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna dissect what goes on further in the game, not just necessarily what happened in this episode.
Exactly, because we super fans.
Yeah, look at us. Okay, well, I guess if you want to see us two super fans next week, tune in for another episode of the Day After podcast.
See you guys.